Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show. We are live, direct from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning and being a part of the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am Lee Michaels, and the show is named after me. I don't know why. I just don't understand. I guess they couldn't come up with anything better, right? Really, I didn't have anything to do with it. I wanted to call it Real Deal Talk, but they said, nah, name it after you. Whatever. All right, welcome to the show. You can download our app if you don't already have it. It's available for Android as well as the Apple phone. So wherever you are, you can tune in to the powerofvoices.com. We are broadcasting 24/7. Many of the shows are live. Some are actually a podcast and then restreamed through our live stream. So if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can catch us. You can catch something on this network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the app, Android or Apple. You can go to our website and listen to us live. It's thepowerofvoices.com. We are streaming on Facebook and YouTube, so you can't miss us. We're here, there, and everywhere. Our phone number to call into to be a part of the show, if you want to chat, you want to have a debate with me, it's okay. We can chop it up. 424-227-9461. It's right there on the screen. If you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook or Bamboozer, you can see the phone number right above the Power of Voices logo, 424-227-9461. So that's how you can stay in touch with us, find out what's going on. And if you would like to have your own show, that's right, you can have your own talk show right here on thepowerofvoices.com. You can do it live or you can record it for podcasts. We'll help you understand how to do it. We'll coach you along. We don't just stick you out there and say, okay, go for it. That's not fair. Come on. So we hook you up. I might even personally coach you because I like doing that. I like seeing people grow and excel and have fun and become broadcasters. This is where it's at, folks. It's not on commercial radio. The chance of you having your own show on commercial radio, first of all, is cost prohibitive. And there aren't many opportunities for you to break in. And for many of you who are sitting on the beach, who are professionals, who've been successful in the broadcast business, you know what I'm talking about. Because the broadcast industry has cut back. They're leaning towards automation and syndication and voice tracking. So they'll have one disc jockey in any given market, any city, and may track 10 or 15 other cities every day, which means it eliminates jobs for people who used to do those shifts at various stations. Well, it saves a company money, but it's a disservice to you, the listeners, the advertisers, and even the owners of the stations, but they don't care because they're not emotionally attached in any way, shape, or form to the broadcast industry. Most of them are investment bankers, opportunists, capitalists. Hey, that's okay. But the reason they bought these radio stations, AM, FM stations, is because the margin of profits were so high, they lost their damn minds. They'd never seen an industry that was spinning off 40, 50, and as much as 60% margins of profit per station. So they went nuts. started a bidding war. The prices of the radio stations went through the ceiling. But they were so greedy, and they said, "Hey, listen, these margins are going to continue, and all we have to do is make sure that the increase in revenue is 10, 15, 20% a year, and we'll make a lot of money." A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. I hear that echo in my brain every day from my dad. And that's exactly what happened. They thought that the projection in income would be at those numbers. Impossible. The radio stations don't grow at that rate. The ratings is what drives the revenue. Okay? So then they said, oh, well, let's just fire a bunch of people, and that will increase our margins. Well, okay, then you start blowing out people, you start killing your creativity. The people who make things happen, the heavy lifters, the young people driving around in the station van giving away stuff. It's important. Your community affairs programming, your news department, public affairs department, your marketing and promotion, you cut back on that. Then you start buying 5, 6, 7, 8 stations in a market, having one general manager to run all of the stations, 1 or 2 sales managers to manage all of the salespeople for all of those stations, and then you begin to cut back on the number of salespeople. So where each station you should have anywhere from 12 to 15 and sometimes 20 salespeople. If the station was big enough, now you might have 15 or 20 salespeople selling for all 6, 7, or 8 stations. Stupid. Doesn't make sense. Then you go to the advertising world and say, hey, look, I need to increase the rates of the radio station by 20% over last year. And that buyer sits there and looks at them and goes, okay, did your ratings go up by 20%? No. Well, how do you justify that? Well, that's what corporate wants us to do. So we need you to bend over and let me screw you. That's basically what it was. So the advertising agency said, nope, can't do that. Get out of my office. Tell your corporate bosses to go take a hike. So that was the beginning of the end, right there. I'll continue this conversation in a minute because I want you guys to understand how this works and how important the internet is as it relates to broadcasting. We have a caller. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show. How can I help you?
Brother Lee, I just want to say, as a former person who worked in radio for 10 years,
yes,
I can definitely identify with what you're talking about. When Clinton signed that telecommunications bill in 1996, Clear Channel came in and wiped up all the small radio stations, TV stations, and the billboards all over the country. And you notice that they rebranded themselves as iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Which is really, smoke and mirrors. But it is what it is. I mean, the media has too much control over what we listen to, how much news that we're supposed to administer, and how much we buy. Because if you look at the billboards, they own a lot of that stuff.
Exactly.
On the trains, on the buses. So it's that bill was really, really bad. And I'm thinking, I'm seeing the writing on the wall. The internet is where everything is at right now. The digital divide really kind of killed the industry.
Well, you're absolutely right. But let me just add something to what you just said. What Clinton did in 96, you're absolutely right. But it actually started with the Reagan administration. When he first began to deregulate the industry, the broadcast industry, as well as the airline industry and all of that. So it really happened under Reagan, but not one president since then has had the balls to reverse those decisions, and everybody just kept looking the other way. So here we are now. These companies like iHeart and all the rest of them, and I put them all in the same bucket as far as I'm concerned. They have pimped the industry out. They have killed what we know. And if you were in the business for 10 years, you know what I'm talking about. They have killed the creativity. They've gotten rid of the opportunities for people to have fun on the radio. And what I hear
Yeah.
coming out of commercial radio today is sad, pathetic, and I don't think it's very professional. When I came along in the mid-'60s, there's no way in hell I could have gotten a job sounding like I was coming out of the streets. It just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't get close to the radio station, let alone get on the microphone. So they've dumbed down, they've lowered the standards, and if you don't sound like you're straight from the streets and breaking every known rule in the English language, you can't get on the radio anymore. And that's pretty sad. So I think what we need to really focus in on is what I'm doing right now, internet broadcasting. And it's not very costly to start up. Just about anybody can do it. Now, that doesn't mean everybody should do it, because it's just not going to work. It's not cut out for everybody, as you would know. So I think that the future of broadcasting is probably going to be on platforms like the internet. Satellite radio, that ain't it. Okay, because they just fell right into the same cookie cutter formatting of commercial radio. And that's really not what people want. If they did, the radio listening levels would not be diminishing the way it is. And it wouldn't be so much money being spent on the internet for advertising. That is a major shift now. There's over 143 million people in America listening to internet radio. 143 million. That's almost at a 50% level in terms of the total population of the USA. So that in itself shows you there is something happening, and it's growing at a rapid rate.
You know, Lee, I went to, and I live and work in New York. I'm still in broadcasting. And I went to the Sirius facilities, Columbus Circle, and also went to the XM facilities in Midtown.
Okay.
And if you were to walk into any of those facilities, Lee, your jaw would drop.
I know. I saw the one in D.C., the XM studios there.
It's insanity. All the hundreds of millions of dollars that they have sunk into each individual studio.
Yeah.
And then we haven't even talked about the editing equipment and then the satellite uplinking. And
That's right.
And the numbers don't even add up to the subscription levels to both networks.
No, it doesn't.
And at some point, the valve is going to it's going to bust.
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right. And that's why the two companies had to merge, because by themselves, separately, they were not making it. So they merged together, downsized, and dropped some of the channels on both sides, integrated it all into one stream. But that's just a temporary extension of the inevitable, I think. Because if you look at the programming, let's deal with the content. Content drives it all. Okay, if you want me to buy your subscription, pay $10, $15, $20 a month, whatever the fee is now, you better give me something that's worthwhile. And see, from day one, I think they blew it. If you want me to get excited about satellite radio, first of all, in the beginning, you had to go out and buy a converter of some kind, because the radios weren't available. Or you had to buy the portable radio, ones that look like a Walkman, and you could plug it in and do all of that, and had a little FM transmitter in it so you could tune it into a certain spot on your FM dial and you could pick it up. And you could roll down the highway and everything was beautiful to a degree. Well, see, you want me to make an investment plus pay you a monthly subscription, and I'm not sure that I'm going to like it or that it's going to be good. So they set up these little booths in Best Buys and places like that around the country. You could go in and check it out. But that in itself wasn't enough. What I think they should have done was give away 10 free channels without having to subscribe. And let's put commercials in there so that you can monetize that.
Well, they're putting commercials in a lot of those.
They are now, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and another thing too, not to cut you off, one of the things they messed up in was they gave Howard Stern this exorbitant
$100 million.
amount of money. No, it was a little more than that because when they renewed it, he got.
Okay. In the beginning, I think it was $100 million over 10 or something like that.
And when he left CBS or he left Infinity, it was like they put all of their money into Howard Stern's channel, but they forgot about the other
99 channels.
Exactly. You got jazz, you got sports, you got right-wing radio, you got. I mean, and another thing that they did was they opened up Pandora's box for people to buy a channel, like Playboy has a channel.
Exactly.
I believe. Well, what was the old liberal network? I used to do talk radio for many years.
Power.
Air America.
Air America. Yep. Air America was on there.
They were on there for a minute. I mean, it was wishful thinking that they would get them to have them buy a channel and they could have exclusive content. But it's wide now, like you said, internet radio now. Like I like to listen to many different shows, and I have the opportunity now to go on my smartphone or on my tablet and pull up their apps and listen to it freely. That's I think the reason why the satellite radio could be coming to an end, because it doesn't make sense for me to download a free app and listen to the content that I want to listen to at any time, and then me spending, like you said, the $15 to $20 a month. It just doesn't make sense.
No, not at all. And I think that, and they've already made a little bit of a shift towards the internet from with Sirius XM, because you can now listen to it on an app, I think it is, and I haven't even checked them out in probably 2 years because it's not appealing to me. Even when I rent a car and I'm traveling or whatever, and I tune into it, and it's the same old, same old. It's very predictable, and there's nothing there to make me go, oh wow, nothing. There's nothing there.
Right.
And, I'm glad that there are some people who are being employed by the satellite network, and I'm happy for some of my friends who work there. But they're strapped with the same restrictions that corporate radio has, and you can't be creative. You can't get on there and just do your thing and be creative and draw new people to the table. I mean, like you said, they put all the money behind Howard Stern, but that was a one-trick pony. So if I'm not a Howard Stern mindset type, then I'm not checking him out. That's it. So you didn't invest in other talent, and you invested too much into one. And that bet I don't think it's paying out to their expectations. It's probably doing okay.
Well, I mean, I would have to figure, and I guess another thing that I would have questions about satellite radio is, they paid an exorbitant amount of money linking up with Major League Baseball, the NFL, and NBA. So, reading and following what ESPN and what ABC has done for the rights to the NBA, as well as what TNT has done for. I mean, this is the new contract, the new TV contract for the NBA. So it's like, if they've paid all this money out to the NBA to carry their game, I'm wondering how much money are they making just because sports radio on a big scale. If you look at all the urban formats and talk radio formats and country formats, it's very minuscule. Every city in the country has a sports radio format.
Yep.
It is big money, but at the same time, not everybody wants to listen to you. I mean, I guess if you're driving cross country and you want to hear a game, you have that luxury of doing that.
Right.
But is that really, really, really? Because you have to pay an additional amount of money to get that NBA channel
That's
or
right.
that major league.
It's a premium.
Yeah, it's a premium channel. So at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose situation because the Major League Baseball offers that on their smartphone.
That's right. So the major league organizations, football, basketball, baseball, whatever, are pimping them all out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're making
there's no
hand over
exclusivity.
foot.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, how many people are that much of a sports fanatic that they're willing to pay that extra cost plus the normal subscription fee? Plus, if their car doesn't have a radio, now you got to make another investment. Most of the new cars, I'm not even sure if all of the new cars have satellite built into it. Do they?
Well, the new cars, because 2018, I read a very interesting statistic.
Mm-hmm.
2018, they're saying 75% of the vehicles around the world will be able to stream Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have the luxury now of taking your smartphone
Yep.
and connecting it to your Wi-Fi and talking on your cell phone to your loved ones, but also you can stream everything that you normally would get through on your cell phone
Right.
through your car now.
That's right.
So, again, why would you want to buy satellite radio when you can stream those same channels through your Wi-Fi and your smartphone? So it's like, it's
Yeah, you're right.
Terrestrial radio and satellite radio are losing that battle right now.
I agree. It's a marketing war that they're losing. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to turn it around. They can throw more money at it, throw more money at it, throw more money. But the return on that investment, I'm not sure is going to be there. And that's really going to be the thing to watch. Now, going back to the commercial radio side, they have their own problems built in there as well because it's not that exciting. Now, did you say you're in Washington State?
No, I'm in New York. I'm in New York City.
Okay. So, let's look at New York. Let's look at BLS, which is a station I've worked for before, and what used to be KISS. Before that, it was 99X back in the 70s when I worked there. But what's exciting? What's your favorite station in New York City?
It's probably either WBGO or I'm listening to WBLS or oh goodness, I don't listen to a lot of radio. I don't.
See, and you're a radio guy.
Yeah, well, when you work it, you get burnt out, and that's why I ended up going back to television.
But see, there's a great indication. I was talking to a friend of mine that works down in Jacksonville, JoJo. He's on one of the top stations there in Jacksonville. I think it's an iHeart station, and I met him in 1973. He was a kid. Now he's a professional broadcaster for 40 years, and I got to tell you, when he and I were talking the other night, we were talking about the things that used to get us excited. We would sit in the car at night and listen to radio stations all over the country on AM and even some FM stations that would be maybe 100 miles away we could pick up. But that was part of the excitement because it was thrilling to hear the different air personalities and how they were doing various things. But I bet you the young people today probably don't do that. They're not really impressed with the air personalities, the jingles, and the different contests. The excitement is just not there.
Lee, it's so funny that I wrote a post just a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. I read an article from a gentleman talking about how radio has become so homogenated. And I came up of an era where there were 5 records on the turntable. At any given moment on that turntable, it could be a Delphonics record,
mm-hmm.
it could be a Jackson record, it could be a Manhattan's record. But long story short, the disc jockeys drove the artists.
Yeah. You know,
CKLW was a very important,
CKLW.
was a very important radio
Yeah, it
station
was.
in Windsor.
That's right.
And
Canadian station.
The Drake format,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't know this, but two of the guys that were program directors at CKLW
Mm-hmm.
ended up programming music television, MTV, in the early 80s.
That's right.
Les Garland was one of the cats. He took the same clock,
Yep.
the program clock,
Yep.
from CKLW and
Put it into
implemented
video.
and put it into music television in the early 80s.
That's right.
Now I say this because there was a program director at CKLW named Rosalie Trombley.
That's right.
Bob Seger has a song called Rosalie that he recorded many, many years ago.
I remember.
There was a time where you literally, when not program directors, but guys from record labels literally had to program and make time to sit down with Rosalie Trombley, because she was the woman that programmed and made and broke a lot of records.
Sure
that
did.
Top 40 format was insane. I mean,
was.
And CKLW had a good run up until the Canadians passed that law where
certain percentage had to be Canadian artists.
Yeah, it was like 60% of the record, the airplay had to be 60% Canadian.
Right.
And it killed the Drake format.
Yep.
But going back to what I'm saying, the DJs, I'm from Indianapolis by way of Detroit, but there was a time where WJZZ, there were times where when I would go to Detroit and visit my grandparents, I would listen to radio. There were DJs like the Electrifying Mojo that broke artists like Prince.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember when Prince did interviews on the radio with the Electrifying Mojo. I vividly remember recording reels and also cassettes of WJZZ and taking them back to Indianapolis. There were artists that I used to hear in Detroit that I would not hear in my hometown because radio just didn't play it. But I say that because radio used to be, every black station, every city in the country had a black station. WTOC in Indianapolis, WCHB in Detroit,
JLB, CHB,
WJLB, you had WHAT in Philadelphia, what's the one in DC?
WOL and WOOK.
KKGA in Dallas.
Yep.
There were flagship stations
all over the country.
And
there were regional differences. They didn't all sound the same.
That's why when James Brown in the 60s would come to a town, there was a reason why Live at the Apollo was one of the greatest soul records of all time.
Yeah.
Because DJs would play that record right up until the time James Brown would come to town, and James Brown would fly in and do the interview, and that's what drove the sales.
That's right.
The James Brown concert. See, black radio is a little different than rock radio or top 40 because there were DJs that really had a relationship with these artists.
That's right.
And that's gone. That's
is
completely gone now. I mean, as much as I respect Tom Joyner, his show is dead. He's done everything that he could do. I remember when Tom Joyner was flying back and forth from Dallas to Chicago every day. I mean, and there was a time when Tom's show was really fresh, but it's gotten stagnant now. And a lot of his listeners have, they don't have much variety anymore. Everybody has syndicated either his show or Steve Harvey's show.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is that there are no more local jocks in these towns anymore because, one, advertising sales are not there, like you said earlier. And then, two, how can you drive a concert when you don't have local talent? You don't have a local disc jockey. You don't have a presence to promote that record or promote that concert.
Well, see, here's the thing. They think that they can record a 30-second or 60-second promo or commercial and have the same impact. It's just not true. When I was on the air doing morning drive or afternoon drive and and at a number of major radio stations around the country. I had the opportunity to sell a song. Okay, a disc jockey, air personality, whatever you want to call them, is basically a salesperson. And most people, in whatever you do in life, you're selling something all the time. You're selling the radio station image, WBMX playing back to back hits all day, 24/7, nonstop. That's selling. Coming up next, we're going to play another Prince song and blah, 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 blah. That's selling. That's marketing. That's promotions. You know, when you say, hey, I'm going to call up Marvin Gaye right now and bring him on the radio and we're going to chop it up a little bit. That's selling. That's exciting. I remember the day when Marvin Gaye was killed. I was doing a show at WBMX in Chicago, and his road manager was at the house and called me. I broke the news before any station in the country because the road manager was there. And the first thing he did was pick the phone up and call me because we were personal friends. And he knew Marvin and I were close. So when I went on the air with that, it was April Fool's Day. Everybody thought I was pulling a joke. The TV stations in Chicago start calling the request line. Hey, Lee, are you pulling a joke here or is this real? I said, no, man, it's real. He said, how are you sure? I said, well, the road manager called me from his house and Marvin is dead. And then the news began to spread all over the country. Now, I'm not proud of the fact that I had to break that news, but if this was an automated station and my guy was calling me and I wasn't on the air, guess what? The word wouldn't have gotten out at the same rate.
Right.
So that live interaction, those relationships, all of that is paramount and important. And it just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like you said, every city had a disc jockey that they could identify. And I mean, and that was the importance of, especially in the 60s, that was very important.
Oh, yeah.
For WVON, the voice of Chicago. I mean, the voice of the Negro. I mean,
that's right.
There were some personalities that were very in tune with what was going on in Chicago. I mean, whether it was on the religious end, whether it was the political end,
straight across the board.
They were, and they still are, a heavy presence in Chicago. I mean, the Chess Brothers knew what they were doing when they bought that station in the 60s.
Well, they understood the value of R&B music, and because they were in the record business, they knew they could help break their own music via that type of radio station.
Yeah, that's very, very, and you had, it was L.A., you had the Magnificent Montague.
Yes.
You had...
He was there. He coined the phrase, burn, baby, burn, when Watts was on fire. Right.
That's it. And, it's funny because it's like there is no presence anymore. And even with music, when there's the song, Video Killed the Radio Star, and that very much did happen. I mean, when the videos came out, it was, and it's funny because it's like now Donnie Simpson is trying to resurface in DC right now. And I tell people all the time, Donnie Simpson was very, very, very important to music video, to music television, because what Don Cornelius did with Soul Train in the 70s and 80s, this guy was breaking artists through the video realm in Washington, D.C. with a little unknown cable channel called Black Entertainment Television.
Right.
So this man was really bridging the gap. He was doing his radio show during the day, but he was also he's bringing those same guests that were coming to D.C., and he was bringing them to a video crowd.
That's right.
Which is a whole new demographic, and that's a whole nother story for another time. But that man right there, single-handedly, man, I mean, this man interviews guys ranging from Grover Washington to Frankie Beverly to you watch BET for 2 hours. If you weren't watching football or you weren't watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we was watching Video Soul, because that cat literally was the eyes and ears and the pull of Black America for a good minute.
Yeah, he did.
And a lot of people don't really give him the due that he deserves. But I just said, I don't miss radio. I do miss radio, but it's unfortunate what has happened with the industry. And
Yeah.
what you're doing right now is kind of a resurrection of some sorts of what people want to hear.
Well, I hope so. And more importantly, it's my attempt to open up some doors for people who want to get into it. I was that guy that had the fire in the belly and the desire to be on the radio at an early age of 15 years old in 1965. And I kept that fire in my belly until I got a break. And let me tell you, if it was not for the inspiration, the encouragement from others who were already in the business, and maybe they recognized I had a little bit of talent, but more importantly, I had the desire and the passion for it. And that's what I look for in young people today. If someone comes into my office or I meet them at a bus stop or at a grocery store and we engage in conversation, I start asking questions. What do you want to do? And if they should happen to say, I want to be in broadcasting, then I go through a series of questions. And then if I hear and feel that fire and desire, I will spend time with that person and help them develop their raw talent and shape it into something that can be meaningful for them in the future. And it's not about me, but see, what I remember are the opportunities that were given to me, made available to me. And I took the advantage of those opportunities by homing in on it and developing my talent and try to be good at what I was doing. I didn't do it for the glory, the glamour, the glitz, the bling, or even the money. When I got into the business, I made $1.60 an hour. That's what the minimum wage was. I didn't ask any questions. I said, give me what you got and help me, give me an opportunity, put me in, coach, let me rock and roll. So I got a break. And I just tried to be the best that I could be. I listened to advice. I tried to implement that advice. I tried to follow instructions. And as a result, my career blossomed. It bloomed. It blew up. I never dreamed that I would make a lot of money doing it. It wasn't part of my mindset. And
Right.
I remember my parents and my family members telling me, boy, you crazy. You're not going to be able to make it in radio. Are you kidding me? Give me a break. Forget about it. Once you go get yourself a government job or be a teacher or do something like that, go get a job at the post office. But radio, you're not going to make any money doing that. That's not a real job, a real career. But I didn't care. I wanted to do it. I had a passion for it. I loved it. And because of that, it's kept me in the business for 51 years. And I've worked at radio stations that most would never have an opportunity to work. We lost our caller. If you're still out there and you're listening, call back. But I think that's what you have to do. You have to almost obsess with doing whatever it is you're doing. And whether you're a carpenter or electrician, you're driving a truck, just be the best at it. Go for it. Go all the way, balls to the wall, do your best, 24/7. And then you will reap the benefits. Don't do it for any other reason. Because I never dreamed of making $100,000 a year, let alone 2 or 3 million. Are you kidding me? Having fun on the radio? Programming a radio station? Coaching other people and you can make millions? What? Are you kidding me? So that's how it works. If you're a recording artist, a true artist, you will spend half of your day or more trying to perfect whatever it is you're doing. That's the way it works. You will learn how to write, arrange, and produce real music, not just sample somebody else's stuff. That's not being creative. You're not coming up with something unique and different. You're taking someone else's work and say, okay, I'm going to slice and dice this and fix it up and lay something else on top of that, and it's going to sound cool. And Yeah. And guess what? Who's going to make the lion's share of that money? Whoever you're sampling. But why not flip the coin? Be a Prince. Be a Michael Jackson. Be a Quincy Jones. Gamble and Huff. Be a true artist. Learn how to write, arrange, and produce music, even if you can't sing worth a damn. When you can put together a lyric and a musical track to it, now you got a song. You can always find an artist to sing it. Most artists, especially the artists today, and over the last, well, almost forever, many of the artists, some of the greatest artists of all time, like the Temptations, they never wrote a song in their life. Songwriters and producers came up with the lyric and the music. Not the Temptations, not the Supremes, not the Four Tops. In the beginning, not even Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5. But there were a few artists, Barry White, Isaac Hayes, and many others during that era. They were true artists. They could sit at a piano and hammer out a tune, and they could write a lyric. Now they own it all. They're not renting a song or just being an artist on someone else's material. And then you have to go out on the road and sing to make money at that point, because that's the only place you're going to really make the real lion's share of the money. Now, sometimes if you are a huge artist, many times when someone comes to these new artists and want them to sing a song, many times they have to give up some of the royalty rights to that artist. So the business has changed a little bit. But why not own the real estate? The real estate is the song. If you create that, you own it. And I strongly advise you not to give it away. Don't sell it for nickels and dimes. There are stories like Jackie Wilson. When he fell on hard times and needed a little cash, he would sell a song for $1,000 so he could pay the rent or have a good time or whatever. And the people who bought those songs still own them today. So that's forever money, forever, ever money. You get that royalty check every quarter. Just stand by the mailbox because it's coming. And if you get lucky and get a song that really blows up, if you are a Stevie Wonder and you got somebody really working your catalog, getting other people to perform your music, get it in a movie score, then you got that real, serious, large money coming in forevermore. But if you are a one-hit wonder and you didn't write the song, you'll be driving Uber in 2 or 3 years. I was in New York City in 1975. And I lived downtown New York. The station was at, 40th and Broadway. I lived down below Canal, 6 North Moore, 8 North Moore Street, one or the other. It was a high-rise apartment building that had a nice view of the Statue of Liberty in New Jersey and all of that. Right near what used to be the World Trade Towers. They had just gone up a few years prior to 75. I think they went up in 73? Something like that. To make a long story short, I get in a cab going home one day. And, in the yellow cabs, you have the little box over there with a little flag on it. That's what it used to be. And then you'd have the driver's picture and name up there. So I looked at it and went, damn, that name looks familiar. The name was Bobby Boris Pickett. I went, Bobby Boris Pickett? Wow, the Monster Mash. You remember that song? It's a big top 40 song called The Monster Mash. Now, here's Bobby Boris Pickett driving a yellow cab in New York City in 1975. Now, if I remember correctly, that song came out maybe in the late 60s or early 70s, one or the other. Big, huge song. I said, are you? He said, yeah, I'm that guy. I said, what are you doing driving a cab? He goes, listen, that was a one-hit wonder. And every year around October, just around October, November time, I get booked. I get some gigs because it was a big Halloween smash, the Monster Mash. She did the mash. She did the Monster Mash. I used to play the damn song on Top 40 radio. So I was just blown away that I'm meeting Bobby Boris Pickett in his yellow cab taking me home. So I said, Bobby, come by the station, man. Let's talk, He never did, but I was just blown away. But that gives you an example. As big as that song was, huge song, nationwide, maybe worldwide, the guy ended up in a cab because he didn't apparently own the song. Or if he did, the popularity of it wasn't such that he was working every day as a performer. So the moral of the story here is if you don't own your music and you're just a singer of it, and even more so today than ever before, with these new 360 deals with these record labels, you don't not only share the record sales for what it's worth, nobody's really buying it anymore, downloads or even CDs or vinyl. Vinyl's made a little surge here in the past couple of years. But that's not where the money has ever really been. The money has been in performances, endorsements, movies, television, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the record label has its hands in all of those things, your concert money, your endorsements, any kind of deals. You get a Nike deal. Well, they got their hands in that as well. If your contract indicates that even if they don't bring that opportunity to you, they get paid, then you get screwed. My contract would say, if you don't bring any opportunities to me, then, and if my management or if I personally go out and get an endorsement, then you don't get any of that money because you didn't earn it. You didn't bring any meat to the table. So if you're a young, new artist or an old artist and you think about one of these 360 deals, you might want to say, look, anything that you, Mr. Record Label, bring to the table, then yeah, we'll split that. But if I go out on my own and bring an opportunity in here, you don't own that. I do. I think that's fair. Why should they ride on your coattail on everything that comes your way? That ain't right. Because if they're not out there hustling on your behalf, which is on their behalf as well, and they're just saying, hey, okay, we got this hot artist, man, and, let's just sit back and live off the fat of the land. Let them go out there and hustle. Let's wait for the opportunities to come in. No, that's not fair, man. It's not fair. More importantly, do you need a record label anymore? What do you need it for? Your ego? If you can muster the marketing efforts and get it to blow up on social media, that is the way music gets exposed today, especially among the young people. I really respect Eddie Levert. Eddie's out there beating the bricks, man. He's telling people, hey, support me. I've been here forever, 40, 50 years, out there singing and making great music. He's telling people in my generation, come out to my concerts, buy my music. He's saying that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all those places out there. And it's smart. If you don't take control of your destiny, whether it's in the music business or software business, it doesn't matter. Whatever business, if you don't take control of that and try to make sense of it, own it, be proud of it, go out there and beat the bricks. If you don't do it, who's going to do it? Or you're just waiting for an opportunity to come along, and maybe you'll get lucky and hit something, and then you can pay a bunch of people to do it? well, then you don't believe in yourself. If you don't put the time and effort into making yourself great, shame on you. You've got a twisted view of reality. And if you let everything around you suck all the oxygen out of the room and it prevents you from growing, shame on you. Because all of those people around you, including your family, they're waiting for you to do something for them, but then they want to eat up all your time and energy and all the negative energy that they throw out on you will prevent you from ever realizing your goals, your dreams. And guess what? They reap the benefits from that, don't they? Go out there and hit the lottery and see how many of your family, dysfunctional family members that used to hate you, wouldn't even invite you to their homes for Thanksgiving or Christmas or a birthday party even. All of a sudden, you're the greatest uncle, the greatest aunt, the greatest brother or sister, mother, father of all time. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. And I'm not saying you shouldn't show some love and compassion towards them. If family, they're family. You try to do the best you can do. But just understand the opportunists and what they bring to the table. If it's nothing, then what should they get in return? You throw them a little something. I would help anybody, even somebody I wasn't really that fond of. If I could help them out in some way, so be it. But there's a limit, especially when they're going to be disrespectful, not honest, and just be negative all the doggone time. That's not right. It's not right. I don't care how you look at it. It's not appropriate. It's not a good idea or anything. And to the young man that called in a few minutes ago and we were talking radio, thank you. I didn't catch your name. Lives in New York City. And I didn't want to press you for your name if you didn't want to give it. But thank you for calling in. It was a good conversation. I'm not sure what happened, but your line dropped. But we'll take a quick break here on the Lee Michaels Show. And go ahead and hit that share button. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook Live, Bamboozer, or if you're listening to us at our website, thepowerofvoices.com, go ahead and hit that share button. Share it out to your friends. Put it on your social media platform. I appreciate that. I'll do it for you. You do it for me. We'll do each other. How's that? We'll be right back. We'll take a quick break. The Lee Michaels Show continues.
Fun facts, sassy politics, and interesting solutions for life. You'll find it right here on thepowerofvoices.com.
Attention Las Vegas residents. Olympic Cleaning Services is the company for all your green cleaning needs. Call us now, 866-984-7444. Olympic Cleaning Services specializes in residential, commercial, construction, move-in, move-out, carpet cleaning, auto detailing, and we also provide emergency services when you need it. Call us now, 866-984-7444. For all first-time customers, you'll receive 15% off. Call us now, 866-984-7444, or go to OlympicCleaningservices.com. Go green today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Simone.
And this is Tiara, and we're the host of A Fat Girl's World here on thepowerofvoices.com.
Make sure you tune in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 4 p.m.
Yes, and we literally talk about everything. Typically, women things,
Women things, but we get personal.
We get personal.
Super real.
So if you guys like real, here's a place to be.
At A Fat Girl's World at thepowerofvoices.com.
I'm Nancy Renee.
And I'm Adrienne Shapiro.
We're the founders of Access Advocacy, a nonprofit for the benefit of people with sickle cell disease.
We provide education and support for families, caregivers, and the medical community.
Join us every Tuesday at noon Pacific Time on thepowerofvoices.com.
We'll talk about current issues, what's on the horizon for treatment, and how to help families living with chronic diseases. And we look forward to you joining us on Tuesdays at noon Pacific on thepowerofvoices.com.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda, that's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You asked for it, and we listened. Welcome to thepowerofvoices.com.
Welcome back to the Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com. We are live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon. Pacific time. Midwest time, that's noon. And on the East Coast, New York City, it's 1 p.m. to 3. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to hit that share button. Tell all your friends about thepowerofvoices.com. By the way, I heard some conversation. I kind of overheard. There's a big to-do on October 3rd in Washington, D.C. You all have probably heard of South by Southwest, big event down in Texas. It's an annual event. Well, they're having something similar to that on the White House lawn on October 3rd. It's called South by Southwest White House lawn or something to that effect. I don't have all the details, but apparently this network has been nominated to be there and be a part of the festivities based on the contributions that the Power of Voices and Hot 92.3 The Beat is making to the community. And again, I don't have all the details on it, and I'll do a little more digging to find out a little more about it, but that sounds pretty exciting. So as I get more information, I'll let you know about that. But looks like we're going to be on the White House lawn. Howdy doody. That's exciting. Amazon stock tops $800 for the first time. $800 a share. Damn. Why didn't I buy some of that in the beginning, right? There was a hostage situation in Jackson, Mississippi has ended with no injuries. And that's about all we know about that, but at least that is over. And I'm just looking at some of the breaking news here. See if there's anything that we really need to be on top of. What do you guys think about? I know I'm getting ready to hit him. I got to hit him. Donald Trump had Don King speaking at one of his engagements. And Don King used the Negro several times, the word Negro, and then used the N-word, which I don't use. A couple times at least during his little whatever you call it. And basically it was very negative towards people of color. Kind of buying into the same concept or ideology that Donald Trump has, that black people are doing worse than than ever in all time. How stupid are you guys? Really? So what we're going through today is worse than slavery, Jim Crow, all of the hangings and lynching and all of that stuff that people of color have gone through. See, when people make those kind of statements, to me, they are ignorant, insensitive, and dangerous. They are pouring gasoline on a smoldering fire, and now it's blazing up, burning the minds of people all over the world, going, are you kidding me? Now, things have gotten better, no doubt. Are they where they need to be? Absolutely not. Do we still have work to do? Yes. Can it get done? Yes. Will it get done? Probably. In time. Everything that we want, everything that needs to happen doesn't always happen when we want it to happen. Because there are people who are pushing back, saying, no. Whatever you say go right, they go left. You go left, they go right. You try to go down the middle, they don't do nothing. So we have to change the mindset of people who don't get it. For whatever the reasons are. They just don't want to get it. Because they've been lied to, or they've convinced themselves, they've brainwashed themselves, or somebody brainwashed them in believing that what you're talking about doesn't make sense. And they can come up with all kind of cross-eyed reasons why what you're trying to accomplish doesn't make sense. And if you're a good listener, you can detect these horrible, horrible, horrible pushbacks that they come up with. You go, wait a minute, man. What are you, stupid? Are you kidding me? It goes back to what I was saying yesterday. The theme of yesterday's show was why? WHY, big ass question mark. Why? Why do you think that way? Why do you believe that people don't have the right to be free, to have opportunities, not to be looked down upon because of the color of their skin, because of their hairstyle? It's just not, it doesn't make sense. But that's their prejudiced view. And I figured it out. See, sometimes we look too deep when the answer's right there on the surface. Because we don't want to believe that it's something so simple. And the reason that people push back, political leaders, our House of Representatives, our senators, our governors, our mayors, our cops, push back on things that just make so much common sense is because they're insecure. They're afraid of losing something. They're afraid of change. They're happy with the status quo because it doesn't affect me. So I don't know why you whining and crying. My life is fine. What do you want more pay for? Why do you want better jobs? What do you mean you want to have a better house? You want a new car? Why? They don't get it because their lives are fine. Why should you want more? I'm good. And they don't want you to have more. So that's when it gets amped up. The intensity. No, man, you don't need that. No. You're getting too big for your britches. No. You don't need that. What do you mean you want your kids to go to college? What? Are you kidding me? Can't afford that. No, kidding. Y'all want to talk about that one? Jiminy Cricket. It's crazy. These poor children are going to college. Many of them having to get student loans because mom and dad just can't afford it. And it's nuts. I talked to some kids over the summer, and they're all in different schools. And they got anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 a year in student loans. So $200,000 or more they're looking at after 4 years of college. Now, I was told you need to get a college degree. I've said that to my children, and now my children are saying it to their children. Now, there are going to be a handful of people who can get a 100% scholarship, but not everybody. If the schools would give everybody a free ride like that, the school wouldn't make any money. And it's about making money. So the qualifications is so high to meet that threshold. It's difficult. When I was reading something in one, I think it was the New York Times, it's like 54,000 people applying to get into some of the major schools. Huge numbers. And maybe only 4,000 or 5,000 get in. And that's not to say that those 4,000 or 5,000 get a free ride, a 100% scholarship. Those are just the ones that they're allowed to enroll. And it's going to be a hodgepodge of, okay, we'll give you $10,000 to knock off that 70,000 or 75. And you get 20, you get none, but, we'll help you with get it financed. So even a 1% or 2% loan at $200,000 to $300,000 when you get out of school, what kind of job are you going to be able to get straight out of college after 4 years so that you can service the debt of a $200,000 to $300,000 student loan? See, we have bought into the okie doke because the educational system is a big pimp game. Because they can't guarantee you're going to go out and get a job for $75,000, $100,000, $150,000 because that's what you're going to need to be able to pay off that loan. And God knows you can't buy no damn house. You might be able to get a studio apartment. And if you live in places like New York, Chicago, L.A., San Francisco, forget about it. You get a dump for $2,000 a month. Place you're probably not going to feel safe sleeping. That's how crazy the numbers are now. So even if you were one of the handful of kids that come out of college and get a $100,000 a year job, after taxes, you're looking at about 60, 65. So how are you going to pay that loan? Maybe you need a new car, rent a place, and have a normal life. $65,000 a year is not that much anymore, especially in major cities. If you make 65 and be in Hoboken or Jiblipi, Mississippi, you can do okay. Because you can probably find an apartment for $1,000 or less. So it's scary. It really is. Now, Let's bring that back around to some politics. When Bernie Sanders was out there campaigning to become the nominee of the Democratic Party, he had it right. He was talking to those young people, that 18 to 34, 35 crowd. He had great appeal in that demographic because he was speaking to their pain and fear and concerns. Not trying to make them fearful, but they already had those concerns. Listen, these are smart college kids. They can add, divide, and subtract, and they know they're going to be faced with either they or mom and dad are faced with a huge mortgage. Mortgage is what that is. When you come out of school and you got a $200,000, $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 student loan, it's a mortgage. It's like a home, a house payment. They'll be 50, 60 years old before they pay that off. And maybe they will never pay it off. So our whole educational system is jacked up. So Bernie had it right. If you can't afford to go one of the top schools and pay the $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 a year, then maybe a state school, federally funded, state funded, or a combination thereof might be the best way to go. Because every young person should have an opportunity to get a quality education, but it shouldn't strap them and put them in debt. So Bernie had the right idea. He was talking free or very low-cost school. Why not? Why shouldn't we, as a country, invest in our young people who will represent the future? Maybe one of those young people will eventually be the president of the United States, or a senator, or a governor, or a mayor, or whatever, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, whatever they choose for their career. But they shouldn't be stressed out over debt. That's not fair. We're not talking $4,000 or $5,000. We're talking big freaking money. Now, Hillary and Trump both have the same problem trying to appeal to that young crowd. I said it 15, 16 months ago. Whoever wins the 18 to 34 will be the next president of the United States. And both of the candidates, major candidates, are struggling. Even the third-party guys, they don't have a clue. If there was one thing that I wished Hillary would have done, was to select Bernie as her running mate. That would have been a shoo-in for all the 20-some states that he won, and that young vote would have carried over and strengthened her base because she was anemic. I said anemic with the young vote, and still is, growing a little bit. But President Barack Obama dominated in that area. And that's key. Yeah, you're going to get the old fart heads like myself because we've been through it. We know. We know what's good, bad, and indifferent. So that 45 plus is already in her pocket. We're down with that because we get it. But I'm concerned about the young people. Now, when Obama was running, the young people were talking to their grandparents of all ethnic backgrounds. I remember the Jewish young people talking to their grandparents, the Latinos, the blacks, the whites, are saying, hey, Grandpa, Yaya, Nona, all those different names that we call our grandparents, Big Mama. Hey, you got to come out for Obama. Okay, child, all right. Now, it has to be reversed. People like me, my age demographic, the fathers, the grandfathers, the great uncles. Now we have to talk to our youngsters and our family members and let them know the importance of supporting the candidate that's going to be in their best interest, and that's Hillary Clinton. Think about it. Because the young people are sitting on the fence. They don't know whether to walk or don't walk, jump on the right side or the left side, or just sit on the fence. Sitting on the fence is absolutely not an option. But what we have to make sure of is that they lean towards the left, and we need to do a strong Democratic vote up and down the list of all of the candidates, because if we don't, and if you just go in and vote for the president and forget about the House members and the Senate members, the governors and all the other people that are running that are on the ballot, and the various propositions and initiatives that are on the ballot, if it's pro-Democrat, you need to do it. We need to do it old school style, go up and down the line and vote for everybody that's got a D next to their name. Why? Because if we put Hillary in and she does not control the House and the Senate, guess what? She's in checkmate just like Obama is right now. So we need to spank the Republicans, go on and put them out of business for once and for all. Spank them good. Young people, old people, black, white, blue, green, Asian, yellow, everybody. We need to change. We need to finish the change that Obama ran on. And listen, here's why I'm so energized on this. Because Hillary can't do it without us. We bring her home, make her win, and then keep her feet to the fire to make her live up to the promises that she's making. That's it. It's that simple. Now, you might say, well, Lee, you know damn well they're going to half the stuff that they're out there, campaigning on, they're not going to pull off for a number of reasons. Yes, yeah, I'm not naive. Many of the promises that are made may not be kept, but it'll be a lot easier if they have the support of the House and the Senate, and we don't have these McConnells of the world sitting there saying, we ain't going to do nothing. That's evil, un-American. You need to take your old ass back to Kentucky and get on your knees and apologize to your constituents, the people that have been supporting you, that are living in those shacks with blue tarps on them, and you haven't even brought any bacon back to them. Shame on you, Mitch McConnell. You're an evil, despicable man. And everybody that thinks like you is un-American. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. It's wrong. And there's only one solution. Get rid of these people. Every time they come up for re-election, if they're not right for the American people, all of us, then let them go. Fire them. Donald Trump, you fired. You don't even get a chance to be a damn intern. I wouldn't consider voting for this man if he came to me on bended knee and wrote a check to me for $10 million. I'd tell him, get up off your knees and get out of my presence. You're a despicable human being. You don't pay your bills. You won't show me your tax returns and all the other shady stuff that you've done. And the thought of talking about building a damn wall that's not going to work. At what cost? Well, I'm going to build a beautiful wall. It's going to be, it's a wonderful wall. This guy talks out of the side of his head like a real street thug pimp. Carnival barker. Just because he says anything is just, I'm telling you. Trust me. Hillary is a crook. Who's the damn crook? Are you kidding me? Look up the word crook in your dictionary and you'll see a picture of Donald Trump sitting next to it. That's how bad he is. He's the crook. We're all of us have made mistakes. We all have things that we wish we could rewind and change. But back in the 70s, him and his daddy would have an application when people of color would come to rent an apartment. His management company would write a little C for colored and reject that person from being able to rent an apartment, and then direct them to an undesirable part of town. Say, well, we don't have anything here, but go over there, and then they probably can hook you up over there. But a white couple, a white person could come in 5 minutes later and apply. All of a sudden, magically, there's an apartment available. The federal government had to come in and shut them down on that. But you think this guy's okay? No, it's embedded in him from way back when. He was the president of the company. His own company, his dad appointed him the president. So he's been doing this all his life. This ain't nothing new. He was forced to do the right thing. Why? Because he's a cheap pimp. He doesn't pay his vendors. When he goes out and builds a Taj Mahal, he buys $100,000 worth of pianos and then don't want to pay the guy. The guy waits for months. It's all on the internet. Videos for the guy that owned the little piano store. Small business person. $100,000 worth of pianos, and they didn't get his $100,000. They only paid him $70,000, and he had to wait 6 months or so for that. And a company like Trump Enterprises, whatever it's called, that was building this hotel, the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. They say to him, well, we don't have the money. Well, why did you enter into a purchase agreement to buy $100,000 worth of pianos, and now all of a sudden, magically, you don't have the money? No, you want to beat the guy down. You want to see him bleed and then throw him some pennies. So the $100,000 worth of pianos the guy got $70,000. Probably didn't make a penny on that. Or very little. There's architect and contractors out there. The stories are all over the internet, folks. This guy is not a cool person. He's bankrupt 3 or 4 companies. He's been sued, involved in lawsuits 3,500 times. 1,300 in the court right now. And y'all want to make this guy president. Oh, he's a great businessman. He really knows about business. Yeah, how to screw people. That's the business he's in. Beat people down. Take the advantage of the weak and desperate. And back you into a corner when you have to say, okay, man, I'll take whatever you give me, man. I got this debt on me. You know, I bought all these pipes and electrical things, and I got to get my distributor off my neck. I'm sitting out here on the limb. I'm financing your damn venture. Now I'm sitting here with empty hands, begging you to live up to the contract that you, Mr. Trump, and your company entered into. That, my friend, is not worthy of being the president of the United States. And then the hate spewing in all of your speeches for the past 15 months. I could go out in Times Square, he says, and kill someone, and y'all will still follow me. Whoo! What? Look at my African American over here. Look at him. What is that? Who says that? Who says that? Anybody with an IQ 2 points above plant life wouldn't say some. Calm down, Lee. Calm down. Okay, let me take a drink of water. Got to calm down. I don't have high blood pressure, but I feel something coming on. So who's the crook? The man in the mirror. Simple. Clear choice. Clear choice. This race shouldn't even be close. Now, if you are a Hillary supporter, just saying I support you is not enough. You can make a donation. You can go to one of her local campaign headquarters, volunteer a little time. You can do some phone calls. You can go out and stump. You can go out and stand in front of a grocery store and register people to vote. You can go door to door and encourage people to vote and get people who are maybe in a household that are not registered. That's what I'm doing this weekend. What are you going to do? What's your commitment to your future and your grandchildren, your children's future? What are you willing to do? Will you do more than just a couple of Facebook posts, a couple of tweets? All of that's fine. That helps. But can you do one thing more? There's a lot that you can do. Put a sign in your yard, one in your window, make some phone calls, register people to vote, and then encourage your family members and friends on November 8th, or if you're allowed to vote in advance, do that. You've heard the phrase, this is the most important election ever. I hear that phrase on every election. This is an important one. We don't make this happen, then, oh my goodness, the world's going to come to an end. It's not going to come to an end, but it's not going to get any better if we don't make the right choice. And being skeptical, I get it. You should do your due diligence on every candidate. Is a perfect candidate? Never. There were a couple of things that I disagreed with Obama on. The health care thing. I think he could have been stronger, harder on that. Not allow Congress to water it down just for the sake of getting it passed. There's 20+ million people that are now insured that didn't have insurance before and are protected on pre-existing conditions. If your child is still in college, they can't be kicked off of your insurance policy. A lot of good things about it. But these slimy-ass congressional members wrote in some language because they were being hammered, threatened, and encouraged by the insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the hospital industries, to water the bill down, or we're not going to support you. Don't look for a donation from us. So our congressional members are for hire. That needs to change. Will it ever? Could we ever get term limits on the House and the Senate? Could we ever get them to only last for 2 terms regardless? Probably not, because they're going to have to vote for that, and they're not going to vote against themselves. So we have to figure out how to make those kind of things happen. We need to protest. We need to do petitions. We need to do something. There's got to be something to bring about that kind of change. Now, what was it, Roosevelt that did 4 terms or so? Congress changed the term limits on the presidency. Congress did that. Prior to that, there was really no limit, but it was a gentleman's agreement that, okay, 2 terms and I'm out. But there was no law, no rule saying that you couldn't go for a 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th until Roosevelt. People got scared. Oh, Lord, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to be a king. Oh, Lord. But people kept voting for him. So it must not have been all bad, right? I'm just saying. Now, I don't think the president should be there forever. But I wouldn't be upset as a 3rd term for Obama with the right members in Congress so that we can get more done. The only reason his legacy won't be as big as it should have been is because of Congress. I blame 100% on Congress. I think those who supported him, good deal, but you could have done more. You need to learn how to be strong, push back Democrats, and don't take the pushback from the Republicans. Slap them around the way they slap you around. Don't take it. Stand up for the people who voted you to go there to represent them in Washington, D.C. Don't let us down. See, some of you guys were asleep when you went to school and they were talking civics and how this thing works. I used to nod my damn self, so I understand. Especially if that class was right after lunch. You got the itis. And I mentioned it before. We had 30 minutes for lunch, and that included the time from leaving your last class, go to your locker, drop your books, go get food, go back to the locker, get your books for the next 2 or 3 classes. So we had to eat fast, man. And a lot of times, most of the time, I would go off campus, go to the little hamburger joint across the street or the Chinese food place, the rib joint, or whatever was around within a block or 2 at the most, because you had to trot then. You got 30 minutes to get it all done. And don't walk into that class after lunch late. Be hell. So we need to man up. And all of those people that are skeptical of Clinton, there's no other choice. And I don't want you to feel like, oh, damn, I ain't got no choice. No, you got a choice. You can vote for Trump, you can vote for the Green Party, or you can vote for the Independent Party. Not the Independent, but the Libertarians. They got nothing to offer you. First of all, okay, let's do the civics class again. Let's do the what if. What if was it Jill Stein wins the presidency? Democrats and the Republicans both go support her and her ideas? It ain't gonna happen. So that's not even up for consideration. She would have no chance at getting anything done. Johnson with the Libertarian Party. Same thing. No chance. How many Libertarians or how many Green Party members are members of Congress, House or Senate? See my point? It's all about the math. It's the numbers. So don't even waste your vote. Don't waste your time. There's no need of looking at them in a serious eye. So you really have 2 to pick from. Not really. You got 1, Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is clueless. He doesn't even understand how the government is structured. Yeah, he can surround himself with some people that do, but then he'll be sitting there in the Oval Office going, you're fired. That's all he's good at. He's a clown, carnival barker, pimp, thug, schoolyard bully. It might be a predator, but I'm just saying. He's not the man for the job. Don't be fooled by his celebrity. Don't be fooled by the hype. Don't believe the manipulation that he has done on the media. Like when he lied the other day that he was going to make the big announcement about Obama's birthplace. Like we give a damn. We don't need you to validate where Obama was born. That's already been done. That's out of your jurisdiction. And nobody gives a damn. Where were you born? I think you're an alien. You must be from Mars. You see? You see how that works? So the media flashes out there. They think this is what the press conference is going to be all about. What is the first thing that Donald Trump talks about? The place that they're having this event, the press conference, at his brand new hotel in Washington, D.C. Oh, it's a great hotel. The greatest hotel in Washington, D.C., and maybe even the world. It's a wonderful place. This is the first event. Pimpin'. Then he rolls into this whole charade of acknowledging some Purple Heart guys and a bunch of retired military guys. Great. Listen, they did a great job, but they got pimped also. But they're, at the twilight of their lives, they're looking for that final recognition. So there they are. And they're probably a bunch of Republicans. That's okay. It's okay. But he pimped them. And then kind of like a by the way, 25 minutes or 26 minutes later, he comes up and says, well, okay, let's put this to rest. Obama was born in the United States, and that's the end of that. But I didn't start this rumor. I didn't start this whole thing. Hillary did. And then he concludes and said, that's the end of it, and he walks away. Folks, that lie has already been proven not to be true. But because he said so, there are some weak-minded Americans that believe that what he said is true. And it's just not true. It's been proven over and over and over and over again that that is a lie. So he's the liar. He's the crook. He's not the person to be trusted. But he's one of these guys that go back to the era of Hitler and the other dictators, that if you repeat a message over and over again, it becomes reality. It becomes the truth. It becomes what you must believe because I said so. You remember when your mom and dad used to say, all right, it's time to go to bed. Well, why? Because I said so. Then you go, okay, I guess you're right. I'm out. I'm going to sleep now. Mama said so. Same thing. Because Trump said so, so that makes it the truth. No, no, no. It doesn't work that way, Donald, because we're not a bunch of stupid people. We're smarter than the average bear. No, we did not go to Trump University, so we have not been dumbed down. We've not been bamboozled by your bovine. No, there are some intelligent people in this country that can decipher the difference between right and wrong, real and not real, the truth and lies. And I hope and pray that you guys are listening to this broadcast. And I hopefully have cleared up some of the mysteries, some of the things that you were uncertain about. Don't take my word. I'm not going to say because I said so, but I did. But do your own due diligence. Check it out. See if what I'm telling you is real or not. And then it's up to you to make a decision. I've made my decision. It's clear to me that the choice for the next president of the United States is Hillary Rodham Clinton. And we must give her the support that she's going to need by changing the balance of the House and the Senate. The no-sayers, people who did not support President Barack Obama to advance that agenda that he has laid down, is build a great foundation, a great base. He didn't build it on quicksand. It's on solid ground. Can the Affordable Health Care Act be modified, changed, and upgraded, made better? Abso-damn-lutely. But he's the only president in 100 years or more that has been able to do anything significant for the people of this country as it relates to health care. So this, my friends, understand me clearly. He laid down the foundation to build upon. And when you hear people like Donald Trump saying, well, we can fix the Veterans Administration, that if within 7 days, if you can't get an appointment, then let's give them the ability to go out to the public sector and go see a doctor, a private doctor. Well, that sounds good, Mr. Trump, but in theory, it doesn't work because you're going to wait longer to see a private doctor. My son just recently had surgery a couple months ago, and he had to make an appointment with a medical doctor for a follow-up. 2 weeks. It was a little over 2 weeks before he could see that doctor. I have another friend who needed to see a neurologist. She had to wait over 30 days to get in. My son called yesterday because he wants to see a doctor in Chicago, a neurologist that we trust because we have some family history with him. They told him he would not be able to see the doctor until December. So, Mr. Trump, your idea is flawed. It is worse in the private sector than it is in the Veterans Administration. So why divert veterans to a situation that's going to be just as bad, if not worse? What you need to say and what we need to do is to fix the Veterans Administration from top to bottom. Make that machine work better. It's time for an upgrade. We need more doctors, more hospitals. Don't shut the damn hospitals down. Build more veteran hospitals across the United States. Easier access, more doctors, more nurses, better facilities. Many of our veterans live in rural areas. They might have to drive 150, 200, 300 miles to get to a veterans hospital. Let's fix that. Let's make that commute 50% less. Let's put in some satellite veteran operations. Small venues that can take care of some of the mundane, regular cough, cold, flu, those kind of things. The simple things. We're smart people. We're the greatest country in the world. Some of the best educated are here. Foreigners come to this country for a better education. Then they run home and take that knowledge back to their own country. I'm not mad at them because they can't get it where they live. I'm not mad at them. I'm for bettering one's self and its people. I'm down with that. I'm 100% American pro. I'm pro-America, 100. I'm with that. So let's fix the Veterans Administration. That's what we can do. Let's rebuild our infrastructure. Let's create more jobs. If we just put together a new bill that says we're going to rebuild, fix all of the highways in America, we're going to fix all the tunnels that are 50 years old, all the bridges that are 50, 100, 75, 50, 60 years old, go into all of our major cities and fix all of the infrastructure, all of the sewage systems. If we just did that, we'd create tens of thousands of new jobs. Contractors would get big jobs that hire new people. The clothing industry would flourish because they have to have socks, shoes, pants, sweaters, shirts, hats, coats, gloves, more cars, because now I got a good job. I'm making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. I can afford to buy a car. I can upgrade my house. I've been wanting to add on a little room over here for my grandchildren. The ripple effect, folks. More gas is going to be burned, more oil, more iron, steel, copper, aluminum, roofing, everything. Everybody wins. Damn it, let's do it. What's so hard about that? Why? Because it wasn't your idea, Mr. Republican? Why didn't you think of that when you were in control, when you had Bush, all the Bushes, all the Republican presidents? Why didn't you do it then? Because you didn't care. Because you just want to say no to every damn thing. Because you're selfish. Because your life is creamy. No problem. You're covered with insurance for the rest of your life. You get the benefits when you walk out of Congress. You're straight. You're good. But the people that put you there are still sitting there with their thumbs in their mouths, waiting for you to deliver on your promise, what you said you were going to do for the people, and you didn't do a damn thing. Shame on you. Go home. Get out of there. You don't deserve to represent the American people. Just like I got into an argument with a Marine, a recruiter who was trying to recruit my youngest boy to go into the Marines. They start talking to your children in high school before they're 18. They tell them to don't tell your parents that you're considering joining the military. Don't tell them. And on the weekend, come out and start practicing and training with us. So they take your children to the park and start training them, doing basic training, running, jumping, and all that crazy stuff. But don't tell your parents because, you're 17. So we don't want to get them involved here because when you're 18, you can make this decision without them. So they suckered my son into joining the Marines straight out of high school. Then we find out our son has been enlisted into the United States Marine. And what? Are you crazy? With all the war and stuff that's going on, you want to be a Marine? What are you smoking? So, yeah, Daddy had to get involved. So I go to the recruiter's office, and I confront this young punk, a guy that shouldn't have the uniform on because they lied to my child. They made him go against me. Yes, I took it personal. And I called him out. And I said, you know what, young man? You are doing a disservice to your country. You don't deserve to wear that uniform. Where's the honor to be a Marine? To be a Marine, you're supposed to lie, cheat, and tell the young people and all the other lies you told them that, okay, you apply for this job, you're going to get this job. You're not going to see any war. What? A Marine? They're killing machine. That's what they do. They're on the front line. Them in the Army. I said, son, I'm old enough to be your grandfather, probably. I said, and I'm not going to take this. And they had my son standing behind him. He said, well, ain't nothing you can do about it now. He is now the product of the United States Marine Corps. I said, that's bullshit. That's my son. I gave birth to him. He's got my blood in him. I had to fight with this guy, argue with him. And you know what? He called the police. And they were about to arrest my wife. They had handcuffed her. I said, hey, yo, you don't need to do that. First of all, she's just recovering from surgery, and you should not be manhandling her. If you do that, you're going to have a problem. I had to get friends that are at the Pentagon to make a phone call to the regional captain or whatever he was over that Marine recruiting service to get these chumps to back down. And I had to get my son out of the Marines that way because they lied to these children. Your children, they get lied to. They make them turn against their families in order to meet their quota. So when your son or daughter gets to that age of 16, 17 years old, just understand the pimps are in the high school recruiting your children without your knowledge. I love America, but America's got to be straight. She's got to be clean. She's got to be honorable. And you have to hold America accountable. And that's what I did. I had to stand up against the United States Marine Corps. And I was not afraid. And I had the support of people inside the Pentagon that said, yep, you're right. And we'll take care of this. And it was taken care of. See, but if I hadn't had those connections, if I didn't know where to go to push the button, if I didn't have friends that hooked me up with the right people, then my son would have been in the Marine Corps under false pretenses. And one of the first things I asked the guy at the Pentagon was, you know, the jobs that they're saying on this application that he was approved to or qualified to train for, is there a guarantee that that's what he's going to do, that he won't end up in Iraq? And he said, no, sir. The recruiters cannot guarantee that. We make that decision here at the Pentagon. They follow our orders. And no, sir, there's no guarantee. I said, thank you very much. See, my gut was right. It was 100% right. Because I wasn't born yesterday. I was born around military. My daddy was in the Army. My uncles were in the Marines and Navy and Army. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, military town. I'm not stupid. And I wasn't afraid to challenge and ask questions. And that's what we all have to do. Stand up for right, push back on wrong. Don't let anybody take advantage of it. I'm not a radical. I'm not, a crazy person. But right is right and wrong is wrong. That's how I was raised. And it wasn't wrong. Don't be afraid. Have your ducks in order. Know what you're talking about. Do your research. Do your due diligence. Know how to present your argument. Yeah, this Marine, he was ready to fight me physically. And I told him, say, you've been to basic training. You know what you know how to do. But you're going to have to whip my ass tonight. That's the way it was going to go down. And he called the police. Sure did. And you know what was funny? Because they have the Marines, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Army, all in the high schools. Little tables sitting out in the hallways and what have you. Your kids going by, hey, young man, come over here. Don't you want to be a Marine? Now, my son had also talked to the representative from the Navy, who happens to have been a young lady. And she pulled me off to the side that night we were there at the recruiting office because all the different branches were right there in the same building. She said, those guys over at the Marines are nasty, man. They're doing wrong. So I've been talking to your son as well. And you know what? The Marines, they got inside of his head, man. They do that all the time. We fight with them about how they recruit. I said, thank you for that information. See, it's a competition, folks, with your child's life. I'm not against the military. Don't get me wrong. It's a necessity. We have to have a strong military presence. We need to have intelligent people in there doing their job. But you got to go in the right way. You can't con people. I'm not down with that. No. Not at all. Not at all. It's not right. You don't treat Americans that way. You don't treat anybody that way. Respect. Honor. Where is it today? Where is it in our streets in Chicago, Charlotte, North Carolina, St. Louis, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Atlanta, all of our major cities and small cities even? Where's the honor? Where's the respect? Young people walking around with their pants on the ground, looking all thuggish. It ain't cute. Change. Have some honor and respect for yourself, for your grandparents, your parents, people had to march, was beat down, shot, hung, tortured. Know your history. Respect your history. Hold your chin up. Don't go for the okie doke. And don't make a fool of yourself. Don't destroy your family name. Those are the things that we need to instill in our young people. Get them to think about honor and respect. It's got to start with each individual, each person. If it doesn't start there, it's not going to grow. It's not going to go beyond. When I see people who've gone and been incarcerated for 26 years and come out and start a 501c3 program and help other people to avoid going through what he or she went through, that's good stuff. Change someone's life is what we should be trying to do. When you see a child, a young person going in the wrong direction, reach out to them, pull them in, and give them some direction. Don't be afraid to talk to them, because that's what they're looking for. That's what they need. They need to hear your experience, your wisdom. They need to hear from you these words: son, daughter, don't rush to fail. Son, daughter, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. Know the big picture. Don't jump in the pool when you don't know how deep it is, or the temperature of the water even. Have a great day. You've been listening and watching The Lee Michaels Show. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know you have choices. You didn't have to sit here and listen and watch the show. I appreciate that. Hit the share button. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time, on thepowerofvoices.com. I'll continue the truth.